Well, all right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Hot Seat Automotive Podcast. Your buddy CJ here. And tonight, we're talking about all things automotive enthusiast hobby, car guy stuff, all the things that real gearheads are interested in talking about. We got that real gearhead talk right here, Hot Seat Automotive Podcast. Guys, welcome back to all my subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, please give me a like and subscribe. Here on the channel, we're just having so much fun. We talk about cars. We talk about sports cars, exotic cars, classic cars, muscle cars. We talk about trucks. We talk about off-roading. We talk about automotive events, whether it's car shows, meets, rallies, road trips, okay? We talk about the industry. We have a lot of fun doing it, and there's some great interaction on the channel. Also, on my Hot Seat Gearheads Instagram account, we just have a heck of a lot of fun. So leave me those comments. I'll respond to all the comments I can. Your buddy CJ is a car guy just like you, lifelong automotive enthusiast. And tonight, listen, it's Friday night. Weekend is here. Thank God it's Friday, right? But guys, we're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to have a bit of fun. We're going to talk about vintage automotive enthusiast television shows that influenced us as car guys, that were super important to pop culture and super important to the automotive hobby. They influenced kids. They influenced the generation of car guys and car girls, for that matter. Okay, they also had an influence on the industry and merchandise and that whole thing. Guys, we're going to get right into it. We're going to have a bit of fun. We're going to head down memory lane and really get into this. But you know, guys, first things first. Your buddy CJ on this channel, as you know, we always look at things together. I'm going to talk about a couple of shows that I think are super important, and then I'm going to give you a bit of a sleeper. I'm going to challenge you guys maybe to go back in time and check out something you haven't looked at before. So let's go ahead and get right into this. Guys, first things first. Listen, the Dukes of Hazzard. Can I get into character, guys? Can I take this to the next level? Your buddy CJ is going to tell you that Dukes of Hazzard was super important to young automotive enthusiasts from a whole generation. Listen, if you're 35 years old or older, okay, if you grew up in the late 70s, 80s, even the early 90s, you know all about the original Dukes of Hazzard television show, okay? We're talking about 1979 to 1985 as a run. They had 7 seasons, about 150 episodes. Okay, you got Bo and Luke Duke, you got Uncle Jesse, you got Cooter, you got Daisy. Okay, just an unbelievable cast. We got Tom Wopat as Luke, Catherine Bach as Daisy, John Snyder as Bo. Listen, this show was just so cool in every way. If you were a kid back in the day when this was on television, you were all about it. You were all about the Dukes of Hazzard. You checked the TV guide, you checked the local listings to make sure you knew when it was coming on. You and your buddies talked about it, okay? You watched the episode. Something else that made this show really cool, in addition to the characters, in addition to the storyline, we got to mention Waylon Jennings, who was not only the narrator of the show with his iconic voice, okay, but Waylon Jennings also performed the song Good Old Boys. Let me tell you something. That was a big part of what made this show popular. We sang the song. We looked forward to the song. Start strumming that guitar at the beginning of each episode. Was so cool. Guys, I can't overstate the significance of this show back in the day. Not only was it kind of aligned culturally with some things that were happening in cinema. You know, you had things like Smokey and the Bandit, okay? Burt Reynolds, Sally Field, so there was an interest in the CB culture, Southern car guy culture, motorsports. All these things were sort of culminating. The vintage cars, the performance cars, kind of that action adventure thing, evading law enforcement with a high-performance car in the South, family and friends above everything. That's really the essence of the Dukes of Hazzard over the course of 7 seasons. And listen, the thing was just, the series just really caught fire and was a cultural phenomenon in many ways. Let's take a look at a couple other things, guys, while we're on the topic. And listen, good guys can wear black hats. Come on, your buddy CJ is telling you that Dukes of Hazzard was a big deal back in the day. Leave me those comments. Tell me what you think. Guys, let's keep going. I want to take a look at a couple other things together here with you. Look at this 1969 Dodge Charger. We're talking about the General Lee. Guys, the General Lee, that Dodge Charger, was as much of an important character in the Dukes of Hazzard original series as anyone else in the show. Just like you had Bo, Luke, Daisy, Uncle Jesse, Cooter, Roscoe, Boss Hogg, General Lee was a huge part of the show. This car became an icon. You know, there was a huge push for merchandise based on the General Lee. You know, all the kids in school wanted to be Bo and Luke Duke. And as we were riding our bikes and playing in the neighborhood, we all pretended we were driving the General Lee. Now, your buddy CJ didn't have the cool black hat at the time. But if I did, make no mistake, I would have worn it. Guys, we having fun tonight. Let's keep going. You know, one thing that's kind of interesting as a car guy, you got to wonder, how many of these 1969 Dodge Chargers did they wreck? Leave me comments out there if you know. They wrecked a lot of these cars, right? I imagine there were the hero cars. Some of those may have survived, but they trashed a lot of these cars, which is really unfortunate. I mean, they're just incredible muscle cars from that era, and it was a huge part of this show. You know, when I see a General Lee replica car today, it always catches my eye because it's nostalgia. And if you grew up as a gearhead, as a car guy, 70s, 80s, early 90s, you know all about the General Lee. Leave me comments. Tell me if you feel otherwise. This show was important to us, guys. And listen, it's good, clean fun. It's wholesome fun. Your buddy CJ's telling you, all those young dads out there, you Gen Z guys, you millennials, listen, you can watch these on repeat with your kids or with your buddies. You'll get a kick out of it. Listen, is it a bit dated? Yeah, it is. You know, it's a bit corny. We're talking late 1970s, early to mid 1980s. Of course, it's a bit dated. Of course, it's a bit corny, but it's also fun and cool. And you can have laughs with your kids, with your buddies, watching these old episodes. Listen, the other thing, too, what do you guys think about the film, Johnny Knoxville version? You know, listen, I thought it was okay. I think they made one or two of those films. You know, it harkens back. You know, they brought back the General Lee, all those things. It was a lot of fun. I don't think it was a great piece of cinema, the Dukes of Hazzard film. Having said that, the original television series wasn't a serious drama. It was a fun, light action adventure geared towards young people. So, of course, it's a bit corny and silly now. Heck, the modern film, the remake with Johnny Knoxville and who? Jessica Simpson? I think it was Jessica Simpson playing Daisy Duke. What do you think about that? But anyway, listen, it was a lot of fun too, but there's nothing like the original vintage television show. If you haven't seen it, your buddy CJ is going to give you homework. Check out some of these old episodes. Guys, a couple other things on the Dukes of Hazzard that we have to talk about tonight, and I'm going to go deep with you. Are you ready? I'm finna go deep tonight. I am not messing around, guys. Let's take a look at this together. Where my real vintage car guys at who used to watch the Dukes of Hazzard back in the day in the 1980s? Who remembers Daisy Duke, played by actress Catherine Bach? Are you kidding me? But who remembers her Jeep? Everybody remembers the General Lee, but how many of you cats remember Daisy Duke's Jeep? Do you remember the name? Come on, let me know. All right, your buddy CJ is going to tell you. Daisy Duke had a Jeep named Dixie. Listen, leave me comments if you guys know this level of Dukes of Hazzard trivia. If you were a real fan, you knew it, but there you go. So iconic. Catherine Bach, Daisy Duke with her Jeep Dixie. Are you kidding me? Dukes of Hazzard was an important show for car guys and automotive enthusiasts back in the day, and it's a lot of fun to watch today. Check it out. Guys, let's keep going. One more thing on the Dukes of Hazzard. I'm going to ask you a very important question. Your buddy CJ going to fix the black hat? Come on, leave me comments. Tell me what you think about the hat. It's Friday night, guys. We having fun. Nobody's having more fun than us. Let's keep going. Good guys wear black. Let me tell you. Guys, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look because I'm getting excited just talking about this. Hopefully you guys are having fun too. Listen, who had the Dukes of Hazzard big wheel back in the day? Are you kidding me? Dukes of Hazzard was an important television show, but it was also super important to pop culture. And there was a merchandise machine on the heels of this show, including the big wheel. Who had the big wheel? The General Lee big wheel, tooling around the driveway with your buddies with this thing. You pull that wheelie handle. Who remembers the wheelie handle? Check it out now. You pull that wheelie handle, you in for a spin out. You're gonna burn out. You pull that wheelie handle. I don't know. We used to call it the wheelie handle. You didn't pull wheelies, but you spun out. You did a full 180 in your General Lee big wheel. Your buddy CJ remembers. Who else remembers it back in the day? Dukes of Hazzard, General Lee big wheel. If you had one of these, leave me comments. Better yet, post a pic of your General Lee big wheel. Do you still have it? Guys, we having fun tonight. Let's keep going. So I'm going to take off the black hat. Your buddy CJ is going to put this to rest till next time we talk about Dukes of Hazzard. Come on, guys. We having fun. It's Friday night. I hope you're having a good time, too. You know I love all my listeners, subscribers, and we just love talking about car guy stuff. So let's take a look at another show. Guys, are you kidding me? Knight Rider. This was an important show, a pop culture icon coming out of the 80s. This show had a run from 1982 to 1986. We're talking about 4 seasons and about 90 episodes. We got David Hasselhoff as Michael Knight. Okay? And listen, this is an 80s icon. How about the car? KITT Knight Industry 2000. Okay? This was a 3rd generation Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. Okay? They spent a lot of budget customizing these cars and building them for the television show, okay? Couple things that are interesting about Knight Rider. Again, if you're a child of the 80s, if you grew up in the 80s, the early 90s, this show probably played a part in influencing you as a car guy. Leave me comments. And over the eras, over the decades, this show has just stayed so iconic. Now, David Hasselhoff had gone on to do some really great things with his career. Baywatch. Is he better known for Knight Rider or for Baywatch? Leave me comments. Let me know what you think. For me, I know David Hasselhoff forever as Michael Knight. He is the Knight Rider. Now, was his career more significant because of Baywatch? Probably. Didn't this guy also have like a recording career in Germany? How crazy is that? But listen, isn't it wild, guys? A couple things in all seriousness. To think about the Knight Rider, what did Michael Knight do? He talked to his watch. KITT, I need you, buddy. Who remembers that? Dude would summon the Knight Rider car, KITT, with his watch. And here we are today, people talking to their watches, Apple Watches, whatever. I think that's kind of interesting. Also, when you think about it, and it was TV, it was corny, I know, but this 1980s computer era, all those themes and those icons coming out of this series and so many others, but the artificial intelligence element of KITT, that high-tech Trans Am, okay? Think about it. We are in the era of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And listen, if you think about a car like a Tesla, whether you love them or hate them, whether you're into EVs or not, did you know that you can use your mobile phone and the Tesla app and you can summon your Tesla if it's equipped and it'll drive across a parking lot in the mall or at the grocery store to your location if you have that feature. Also, the autonomous vehicle, the self-driving vehicles, a lot of those things have come to fruition in our lifetimes. Today, these things exist. And back, we're talking 1982, 1986. These were all things that were presented on this television series, this silly television series that was a smash hit. Let me tell you something. Life imitates art. It's kind of wacky, isn't it? It's kind of wild when you stop and think about it. But guys, Knight Rider was super important. So I'm going to ask you another question. You ready? Keep those comments coming. You know I love them. And I'll respond to all the comments I can. All right. Who had the Knight Rider big wheel? Let me tell you something. The merchandise machine got behind Knight Rider. It was a successful television series. Okay, it became really big in pop culture. David Hasselhoff was a big star. All the kids were fans of Knight Rider. Okay, and we all wanted the merch. We wanted to play with the Knight Rider toys, the remote control toys, whatever the heck it was. They made a big wheel, the Knight Rider big wheel. Leave me comments if you had it. And it's got that wheelie bar, that burnout bar. I don't know. I call it the wheelie bar. You weren't pulling no wheelies in the big wheel. But this little sucker will pull a 180. You get going down a hill. Leave me comments if you know what I'm talking about. You get going down a hill and your Knight Rider big wheel, you pull on that bar. Let me tell you something. You spinning around, cuz you going. It's wild. It was a wild ride. We had fun in the 80s. Who remembers these things? Guys, let's keep going. So I'm going to show you one more shot of the Knight Rider here as we're talking. Let's take a look at an action shot. There he is, Michael Knight, played by David Hasselhoff in the third generation Pontiac Trans Am. Looked like he's going for a big stunt there. It's one of those action scenes. This show just had a major influence and was a big part of our youth as young car guys back in the day and automotive enthusiasts. Come on. And it's become, it's remained as somewhat of an icon. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting is, and I know this having been a Camaro guy, third gen Camaros in particular. I like the second gens. I like the first gens, fourth gens as well, fifth gens. But in all seriousness, coming back to the third gen, I was a big fan of these cars. And there's a whole sub area of the Camaro hobby and the Firebird hobby who build replica cars for Knight Rider, the kit, the Knight Industry 2000. And these guys really pride themselves on building a kit replica car, a television show series replica car that really emulates what they did on the television show. So if you have one of these cars, leave me comments, post up those pics, reach out to me. I think they're cool. Listen, I remember back in the day messing with Camaros and Firebirds, and I was actually contemplating at one point trying to snag one of these. It's kind of fallen out of favor with me. Not that listen, it's from another era, right? But I still think it's cool. And if you're into movie cars and television cars, is there anything more iconic than Knight Rider? General Lee. Which one? Listen, there's a good question. Which one you going for? The General Lee or the Knight Rider? You can only pick one. And your buddy CJ's telling you pick one tonight. Knight Rider, General Lee. You got to pick it. Guys, let's keep going. We're having fun tonight. It's all about the fun and enjoying this hobby together. I'm going to go deep. I'm going deep with you right now, guys. Are you kidding me? Look at this. Can you name this 80s television show? What are we talking about here? Hardcastle and McCormick. This show was not a pop culture icon. This show did not have the success of Dukes of Hazzard, Knight Rider, any of those shows, but it was kind of the same theme. It was a show, action adventure on television. This had a run from 1983 to 1986. They had about 3 seasons, under 70 episodes, okay? But a key element of this car, kind of crime, action, little bit of humor. I did watch it as a kid. I don't know of anybody who's really still into this show. You guys tell me. You know about Hardcastle and McCormick? I told you I was going to go deep tonight. I was going to go deep into vintage car guy television shows. But let me know what you guys think. The car was as much of a character on this show as any of the stars. If you were a kid in this era, you were all about the Coyote X. Who remembers that? The car played a big part in this action series. And what it actually was known as the Coyote X. Did you know it was based on a kit car? Underneath this fancy body was basically a vintage Volkswagen Beetle. And rumor has it there was actually a Porsche 914 engine powering this vintage Volkswagen Beetle. Many of the kit cars in this area were based on the old Beetles. That's nothing new. Back in the day, I didn't know it was a Beetle underneath. I thought it might as well have been a Ferrari or something, We were all fooled by Hollywood television magic. But what I didn't know is that this kit car, actually known as a Montage, was based on Bruce McLaren's prototype car. And, that he was actually going to race with. And they built a few of these cars. Never actually went to production, but the styling of that McLaren design and build went into the Montage, okay, and ultimately manifested itself in Hardcastle and McCormick. This car, known as the Coyote X, Super cool. There are a couple of these as survivors. I think there's also quite a few replica television cars out there. If you have one of these, get at me. I'd love to talk to you about it. Post those pics, leave me comments. Really cool stuff. But guys, I'll show you one other shot of Hardcastle and McCormick. This shows a bit of a sleeper. So here we go. What are we looking at here, guys? Another vintage 1980s television show that influenced so many car guys. Hardcastle and McCormick. You had the Coyote X, that really cool looking sports car from the television series. Turns out it was actually a kit car based on a Volkswagen Beetle with a Porsche 914 engine. Okay. They wrecked a bunch of these cars. What I also found out was that in later seasons, they converted from that kit car, that Manta Montage, they converted from that to a DeLorean. Now, I didn't know that. I don't remember that from back in the day. But did you know that Hardcastle and McCormick actually switched to a DeLorean? Don't remember that, guys. Leave me comments if you do. But this show, as I said, moderate success. It was not a blockbuster hit. I think it was one of those copycat shows more than anything, where there was a formula. There was a formula from Smokey and the Bandit. There was a formula for Dukes of Hazzard. There was a formula from Knight Rider. Hardcastle and McCormick was really trying to take advantage and get some momentum off of that formula that worked for Dukes of Hazzard and for Knight Rider. Listen, was it a success? 3 seasons, 1983 to 1986. I certainly remember it, but I don't think it was a huge hit by any stretch. Maybe it's forgotten in many ways, but your buddy CJ's bringing it up. Who remembers Hardcastle and McCormick in the Coyote X from television in the 1980s? Really cool stuff. Guys, wanted to come on here tonight. It's Friday night. We're having a bit of fun. Your buddy CJ, and I'm going to break it out again. Who's ready? Look at this here. Woo! Let me tell you something. Vintage 1980s car guy television shows. I gave you a couple of my hot picks there. Dukes of Hazzard, Knight Rider. These were important shows, and I claim are still pop culture icons that have some relevance today, or at least some influence, at least from a nostalgia standpoint. Let me know what you guys think. Influenced a whole generation of automotive enthusiasts in so many ways. Okay, and then you got Hardcastle and McCormick. It's a bit of a sleeper. Maybe it's been forgotten to time, but your buddy CJ remembers. Anybody else out there remember Hardcastle and McCormick? If you don't remember, check it out. If you do remember, let me know what you think. Listen, has history been kind to Hardcastle and McCormick? I don't know. I still think the Coyote X is very cool. If I could snag one of those Coyote X's, your buddy CJ would cruise around in one. It's a Volkswagen Beetle underneath, though. Kind of disappointing. But listen, guys, that's about it for tonight's episode. Hopefully you had as much fun with me. We got to laugh. We got to enjoy things. Listen, we enjoy all aspects of the automotive enthusiast hobby around here, not just the cars, not just the events, the cruises, the rallies, whatever it might be, what's going on in the industry, but also some of this nostalgia, some of this pop culture stuff that's relevant to car guys that was a part of our story. And I'd love to hear your story. Hit me up. Guys, give me a like and subscribe. Keep sending those comments. Your buddy CJ is going to sign off until we meet again, guys, on the next one. Take care of yourself. See you on the streets. Peace.